Welcome to section 4.5, write equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. Now I know you've worked with parallel and perpendicular before. If you remember, parallel means you have two lines that go in the same direction for forever and never cross or intersect, they just keep going. And perpendicular means that they cross such that it crosses at a 90-degree angle. So things you might not have thought about before is that if they are continuing in the same direction forever and never cross, that means their slopes are the same. So for parallel lines, that means they have the same slope. So types of questions you might get related to this is you need to write the equation of a line that passes through a point and is parallel to another line. Well, that parallel to another line, all that's saying is that they have the same slope. So what I'm going to notice from this piece of information is that our slope has to be 3. We also have a point. What's going to be the easiest form of a line to write this in? Point slope form. So we can go y minus our y coordinate equals m times x minus our x coordinate. You can make those plus positives, but you've got your equation of a line. You can be done. That's all the more to ask for. You could also do this in slope-intercept form, but you'd then have to solve some more work, and it's really not necessary. One thing I will tell you, the book's answer key is going to have everything in slope-intercept form. I will 100% accept it to be in point-slope form, because it makes a lot more sense to just get it into that form than to jump through the hoops to get into slope-intercept form if you already have the right answer. With perpendicular lines, you're not going to have the same slope in order to get them to intersect, but they're going to be negative reciprocals. So it'll be the negative flipped form of your slope. So if your slope was 2, its perpendicular line would be negative, and it would be the reciprocal of that, or the flipped version. Since 2, you don't normally think of it as a fraction, but it could also be written as 2 divided by 1. The reciprocal is going to be a negative 1/2. If your original slope is negative 7/8, you'll take the negative reciprocal and you'll get a positive 8/7. So that's all you'll have to do in order to figure out what the slope is if they're perpendicular. So now let's figure out from these 3 lines here, which are parallel, which are perpendicular, or are some of them neither? Well, all of it depends on the slope. The other points don't actually matter. So our slope for the first one is 5, or a 5/1. For this next one, we need to figure out what the slope is. So we need to solve for y to get it into slope-intercept form. So we'll subtract x from both sides, or what should be the same as add a negative x, and then have a 5y equals negative x plus 2. And negative x, that's actually saying we have negative 1 x's. And now we have to divide both sides by 5. So we come out with a y equals negative 1/5 x plus 2/5. Or in other words, our slope here is going to be that negative 1/5. For the last equation here, we're going to add the 2x to both sides. So we can try to get the y by itself. So we've got negative 10y equals 2x. And now I can divide both sides by negative 10. And y comes out to be a negative 1/5 x. So which lines are parallel? Well, the ones that have the same slope. So these two are parallel. Which are perpendicular? Well, they're going to be the ones with the negative reciprocal slopes. So these are negative reciprocals, and those are negative reciprocals. So that's one way that you can figure that out. You might also be asked, are 2 lines perpendicular? Well, all you need to do then is figure out what are the slopes of those lines. So for this first line, we need to get y by itself, so we divide both sides by 12. And the slope is really the only piece that ends up mattering. So our slope for that first line comes out to be -7/12. That fraction can't be reduced or simplified anymore. The next equation, we'd have to divide everything by 11. But again, it's all about the slope. So that slope comes out to be 16/11, which also can't be reduced any further. So if these were perpendicular, they would be negative reciprocal slopes, but the negative reciprocal of -7/12 is a positive 12/7, which does not equal 16/11. So no, they are not perpendicular. Finally, write an equation of a line that is perpendicular to that line and passes through 4, -5. Well, if it's perpendicular, that means it's going to have the negative reciprocal slope. So the negative reciprocal of 2 means you'd have a slope of -1/2, and it passes through this point. So you have a point, we have a slope, let's write it in point slope form. So y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. And that's it. That's all the more there is to that one. So as always, shoot me an email if you have questions, and otherwise, good luck.